In tonight's news edition, 5 car bombs explode across Baghdad, killing at least 17 people in attacks that have become more frequent since the beginning of the year. Workers around the world mark Labor Day with protests and demands for better pay and employment conditions. And football legend Diego Maradona visits the Rose City of Petra as part of his visit to the kingdom to support Prince Ali, who's running for FIFA presidency. Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. 5 car bombs exploded across Baghdad yesterday evening, killing at least 17 people in attacks that have become more frequent since the beginning of the year. The deadliest of the blasts, which appeared to be coordinated, took place in the Iskan neighborhood, where 5 people were killed. Another of the car bombs exploded near a children's hospital in Jamila, killing 3 civilians. 4 people were killed by a bomb in a commercial street in Al Hurriya, 3 more in the Taliyah district, and 2 in the Ur neighborhood. Escalations in violence may be due to Iraqi authorities lifting the curfew on Baghdad in February, seeking to restore a sense of normality to the city. Syrian rebels and the Syrian army fought fierce battles in Latakia province overnight after weeks of insurgent gains in the country's northwest. An army source told state news agency Sana fighter jets hit insurgent hideouts in the northern Latakia countryside, with tens killed and wounded. Latakia is the main port in Syria and, along with the capital Damascus, is one of the most important government-held areas in the country. The violence follows advances in neighboring Idlib province by the hardline Ahrar al-Sham group and Syria's Al-Qaeda ring Nusra Front, as well as other allied fighters. The Latakia battle started with an army offensive yesterday backed by local militias aimed at pushing the insurgents out of the province in order to advance on captured areas of neighboring Idlib. The U.S.-led military coalition launched 18 airstrikes in Syria and Iraq against Daesh terrorists since early yesterday. The combined joint task force said in a statement that 7 strikes targeting the militants in Iraq struck 5 units of Daesh and destroyed several fighting positions and other targets near the cities of Bayji, Fallujah, Mosul, Ramadi, and Tal al-Affar. In Syria, 11 strikes near al-Hasaka, Deir az-Zur, and Kobani also struck 8 fighting units for the terrorist group, as well as 2 vehicles and other targets. Saudi jets launched a fresh bombing campaign on Yemen's capital, Sana'a. The military said the airstrikes targeted Houthi military camps around Sana'a's international airport. A residential area close to the airport was also hit, and residents said there were several casualties. The attack caused extensive damage to the runway and has halted aid deliveries. The Houthis are planning a mass rally in Sana'a against the Saudi strikes. Workers around the world marked May Day, also known as Labor Day, with protests and demands for better pay and employment conditions, as well as an increase in labor rights. Most demonstrations were peaceful, even though May 1st regularly sees clashes between police and protesters in some cities. Large rallies were held in Europe and Asia, where workers demanded an increase in minimum wages and better living conditions. Here's more.
Protesters across Asia held marches and rallies on Friday, May 1st, to demand higher wages and better working conditions. In Bangladesh, garment factory workers marched through the streets of Dhaka. Some held signs asking for living wages. Retailers have been urged to do more recently to improve working conditions after more than 1,100 people died in the 2013 Rana Plaza factory collapse. Garment workers in Cambodia also marched for better wages. They want a minimum wage increase to about $177 a month. And in Taiwan, tired and overworked laborers held posters of giant bloodshot eyeballs. "We have to work 48 hours in a row," this person said. "Driving vehicles with no sleep is like driving under the influence of alcohol, and it's very dangerous." There were similar scenes in the Indonesian capital, Jakarta. Indonesia is the largest economy in Southeast Asia, but is divided by an enormous wealth gap. About 11% of the country's 240 million people live below the poverty line.
Nepali foreign officials were struggling to locate thousands of people still missing after last week's massive earthquake, as food and other relief supplies begin to trickle through to those stranded in remote parts of the country. The head of the European Union delegation said up to 1,000 Europeans are among the missing, mostly around popular trekking routes, and that they were fully engaged with the Nepali government to help the people cope with the devastation. The EU's Commissioner for Humanitarian Aid and Crisis Management said European countries are united to help everyone get through the effects of the natural disaster that killed more than 6,000 people.
I'm here in Kathmandu to tell the Nepalese people that they are not alone. I'm here on the ground to convey the European Union's solidarity with the people and government of Nepal in this hour of need. Our thoughts are with all the people and their families affected by this tragedy. Europe is fully playing its part. We are fully engaged in the efforts to help Nepal meet the needs. We have a moral obligation to do so.
Baltimore's top prosecutor has filed criminal charges against 6 officers in the case of Freddie Gray, who died in police custody. State prosecutor Marilyn Mosby said the death of the 25-year-old black man was a homicide and his arrest was illegal. The charges range from second-degree murder to assault. Gray suffered fatal spinal injuries while in custody, sparking protests that turned violent. Commenting on the situation, U.S. President Barack Obama said it is absolutely vital that the truth comes out.
It is absolutely vital that the truth comes out on what happened to Mr. Freddie Gray. And it is my practice not to comment on the legal processes involved. That would not be appropriate. But I can tell you that justice needs to be served. All the evidence needs to be presented. Those individuals who are charged obviously are also entitled to due process and rule of law. And so I want to make sure that our legal system runs the way it should.
British Prime Minister David Cameron is aiming to be re-elected for his second term in the general election on May 7th. According to polls, Cameron's Conservative Party is tied with the opposition Labour Party in Britain's tightest election in decades. So far, the Conservatives are unchanged with 33%, while Labour's support has dropped 3 percentage points to the same figure. Nevertheless, surveys show the two main parties running neck and neck, and the outcome, as of yet, still unpredictable. Italian designer Giorgio Armani celebrated 40 years of excellence in fashion by hosting a gala for some of the top names in the celebrity world. The designer invited hundreds of VIP guests to an exclusive gala on the eve of Expo Milan 2015 and opened a museum recounting the history of his fashion business. Many Hollywood A-listers said they have been wearing his clothes for years and expressed their excitement at being a part of his legacy.
It's unbelievable. I'm very happy to be here. I'm actually excited to be here. It's so many people showed up, and it goes to show you how great he is, and the people that has worn his clothes over the years. Like I've worn them for 30 years, so he's been in business for 40 years. So it's a really big celebration.
She never gets old. And Yang Yang, a humanoid robot with a variety of realistic expressions, wowed visitors at the Beijing's Global Mobile Internet Conference. The robot is modeled after one of the researchers who helped develop the technology. It can blink, smile, shake hands, and even give you a hug. To make the robot even more lifelike, it is made of a special type of silica gel, replicating the feeling of human skin.
事实上，每个人都抱有各种梦想，希望丰富今天在场的各位朋友。谢谢。叫杨洋，今天有幸前来参加北京 GMI 体验了歌手的人生。此外，我还要告诉大家，我是公益组织。谢谢。
Football legend Diego Maradona visited the Rose City of Petra today as part of his stay in the kingdom. Maradona was received by the Petra Authority Chief Commissioner Mohamed Nawafle, as well as tourists and locals who were all eager to capture a glimpse of the superstar. During an interview, Maradona expressed his happiness at being in Jordan and having the opportunity to visit one of the 7 world wonders. He also thanked His Majesty King Abdullah and His Royal Highness Prince Ali for their invitation. Maradona has been very vocal about his support for Prince Ali, who is running for the FIFA presidency, which will be held in Zurich on May 29th. Pello Bilbao won the 6th stage of the Tour of Turkey, while Kirsten Durask took the overall race lead. The Spaniard took the 184-kilometer stage, edging ahead of Astana's Colombian rider Miguel Lopez in the final few meters of the Category 1 climb to win by 3 seconds. Bilbao's Colombian teammate Einer Parra finished third, a further 8 seconds behind. And finally, cool in most regions tonight and fair in the Jordan Valley and northwesterly light winds. Tomorrow, fair conditions continue across most regions, with northwesterly moderate winds picking up in the afternoon. The Gulf of Aqaba should expect relatively hot weather tomorrow, with northerly moderate to brisk winds and calm seas. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. To end the news, here's a reminder of our top stories. 5 car bombs explode across Baghdad, killing at least 17 people in attacks that have become more frequent since the beginning of the year. Workers around the world mark Labor Day with protests and demands for better pay and employment conditions. And football legend Diego Maradona visits the Rose City of Petra as part of his visit to the kingdom to support Prince Ali, who's running for FIFA presidency. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Nancy Khair. Thank you for watching and have a good night.